Now we're moving to the next speaker, and we're going to have a video presentation. I wanted to ask Martin about the word he could use with the name of our city, because he said Amsterdam is a smart city, about some Chinese. I wanted to ask about Tomsk. Give me a word that describes Tomsk. One word. Tomsk. Cold. Roberto, Tomsk. Culture. Okay. We have to, yes. Thank you very much for that. Cold is not good for our research, so culture is good. Okay, let's move to the video, yes. And we want to present to you Scottt Kanningem. He is an associate professor, Faculty of Technology, Policy and Management, Delft University of Technology, Netherlands also. And the topic is Places as a Nexus, a discussion about how places attract inventors. It's very, very actual and current for our city too.
Hello, this is Scottt Kanningem from the Delft University of Technology, recording this tonight from Holland. I'm going to speak to you about places as a nexus for technological emergence. So why places? First, inventors prefer to live in cities, and second, inventive companies prefer to locate in cities. Thirdly, cities are home to significant facilities like universities, laboratories, and startup incubators. Warning, I have 2 short quizzes for you about innovative regions. I'm going to give you the answer. I want you to think about it. I won't be able to ask you the answers, but I'm going to tell you what the right answers were, and you can test yourself. So this is a picture of my old home in San Jose, California. You may know San Jose as Silicon Valley. So San Jose is at the southern part of a broad, innovative region, very famous for internet companies and for semiconductor manufacturing. And when we look at San Jose, we think, what was so special about San Jose? Is it going to be able to keep that magic moving on forward, or are other places going to overtake it? So when we ask questions like that, we're interested in the geography of technology. And geography, of course, is the study of place. But we have to be aware that many technologies have their own place. When we think about things like rifles, or cotton gins, or light bulbs, or cameras, automobiles, or semiconductors, they all were first associated with a single place. And as I said, places are well structured by organizations, facilities, and institutions. So when we understand the geography of technology and we're prepared to make changes to our organization, facilities, and institutions, we can attract new innovation and we can customize our locations according to our needs. So that's the first claim I want to make. Places are often the nexus for technological emergence. There could be exceptions, and this is a debatable exception, but the exception would be on things known as general purpose technologies. Some technologies are so powerful that they overwrite the whole economy and they restart it anew. There are just ways of creative innovation that tear down the system and they rebuild it again from scratch. Some people claim that nanomaterials may be diffused throughout the economy and maybe there won't be any particular place where nanotechnology is capitalized or emerged. I have other people, though, who really think that's not true. Nanotechnology, like most other technologies, are really going to be located in a particular time and a place. Another point is that supplier-led industries, like materials, they lack strong agglomeration. You need them to make your economy work, and so again, they're going to diffuse throughout all of a country and throughout the world. Another idea is about the nexus. So why is it that cities are so innovative? It's indisputable that they are. A group of researchers have been looking at key metrics about cities and have been tracking them as they scale when you change attributes of the cities. So things like how do these attributes change as you add more people? So as cities grow bigger, you get more crime, but you also get more wealth, more income, and more patents. And even more, what's important is that this grows more rapidly than population. So something magical, almost magical happens as you put people together. They become a social reactor. The exchange of ideas, the access to new information enables cities to highlight growth, to enhance and increase growth. Now, one key idea that's very important to understanding cities and growth, I think, is this concept of density-dependent growth. You can find this in ecology or in biology, but let me tell you the idea in short and relate it to the idea of innovation. Inventions are inversely related to the density of inventors. So a low population of inventor, that means there's going to be an unstable production of key indicators in invention, like patents. But high-end population of inventors, there's going to be a stable production of patents. This creates the opportunity for sudden emergent growth. You can see this kind of swarming behavior in the natural world, where schools of fish group together, flocks of birds group together, or herds of animals group together, enabling more animals to reproduce and to fill in niches in the natural world. Same thing with inventors. When they come to a particular place, it takes enough of them to make an effect, and then you lock in growth. And that's how you get sudden emergence. So here's what San Jose looks like as an emergent phenomenon. You could see way back to the 1840, that's the California gold rush, when there was a sudden burst of interest, a sudden burst of patents in San Jose, and then it rapidly leveled off. So there was that emergent phenomenon, the niche was filled, and then it remained stable for many years until about 1955 or so, when there was another burst, and the amount of patents that came out of San Jose more than doubled, and it became one of the United States' leading innovative regions. So the key point here is that emergence is caused by density dependence, that's the number of inventors in a single place, and also by social reactors, the exchange of complex information over short spans of space. So another idea that I think is really important is understanding that there are dynamics of innovative activity. So I talked about creative waves of destruction. These are known as Kondratiev waves, or long waves of inventive activity. And there's been at least 5 waves of activity in the modern economy. You could see this first wave starting in 1789 or so with the spinning machine, and then with cotton, and then a downturn of the innovation. And then a new niche opened, and new innovative opportunities happened around iron and rail. And then there was the era of steel and oil and cars, or aircrafts and petrochemicals and computers. So there are windows of time when more innovation happens, then those innovations are exploited, and we shut down innovation for a while until a new wave happens and we're ready to start again. So this staggers the ability to innovate. So here's my first quiz for you. Long-term inventive areas. Which zip codes have been the most inventive in the U.S.? This is over the long term of U.S. history from 1790 or 1975. And the measure that I'm after here is about where the companies are located. So I'd also like to have done this study for other areas than the United States. For instance, close to me is Eindhoven, the Netherlands, where there's a great number of patents, but there's been really good long-term history about U.S. patents. So that's at least where I'm starting for the question tonight. So the question is, which places in the United States have been the most inventive? Ready? New York. So over the longest term, New York has really been an inventive place. Then Chicago, then Los Angeles, then Pittsburgh, and then Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So the places that we think about as being inventive today have really not held that position for very long. So let's take a look at that. Look at these patents by zip code. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia in particular were some of the first innovative areas. They reached a peak and then leveled out, and then there were successive waves or bursts of activity. And in particular, take a look at that New York City burst. This ends in 1970, so the idea that Silicon Valley has always been an innovative place is most certainly not true. It's only a relatively recent phenomenon. And also, take a look at that curve about Los Angeles. For the longest while, Los Angeles was more of an innovative place than Silicon Valley was. I know that's the location of the film industry, but it used to be a much more innovative place, regardless of film, than even San Jose. So I find that really quite remarkable. So city overtakes city overtakes city, and persistence is not something that we can typically associate with regions. It's not usual for a region to remain innovative over longer than 50 years. So strongly innovative regions rarely persist over time. And let's take a look, for instance, of New York City. What happened? If you look at the absolute or relative growth of patents, you can see that New York City was at the peak for a pretty short time, between around 1842 and 1867. That is roughly around the time of the sewing machine. And then ever since, the rest of the nation overtook it, and New York, maybe in absolute terms, it didn't decline, but relatively to other innovative regions, it declined. And in that regard, we could also talk about China. So what's happening in technologies like nanotechnology? China, in a relatively short period of time, has emerged in the world stage as a locus of growth for nanotechnology. This particular graph is from my colleague, Stephen Carley. So, in summary, places get a relatively short time in the spotlight. Another quiz. So, in which cities do U.S. inventors actually live? Starting since from about 2010. I got a hint though. This is a trick question. So let's let you think about that for a few moments. Ready? Tokyo, Yokohama, Okayama, Shibata, and then San Jose, California. So funnily enough, our inventors often register their inventions outside of their own home. Many U.S. inventors are actually Japanese. And if you'd go a little bit further down from San Jose, you would see Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas, until very recently, hadn't been known as an innovative region, but there's something special about that city now that makes inventors want to live there. And that leads to good prospects, I think, for the branding and the livability of this as a city. So how do places structure people and organizations? So Ann Markuson, in a classic paper about 20 years ago, talked about different kinds of innovative districts. The classic one was named after Alfred Marshall, who talks about dense networks of suppliers and customers. His model were pen manufacturers in the city of London during the Victorian era, where workers and businesses could specialize, and there were small exchanges of information across markets that easily cleared. But you could also have hub and spoke districts where big companies employ small ones, or satellite platform districts where international companies come in and they satellite in with knowledge and information and money, and they parachute out products. Another one that's not shown in this graph could be government-centered districts where targeted spending on universities or on national capitals or local capitals jumpstart the economy. So let's take a look now at the spatial correlates of innovative activity. This is a map of where all the inventions are happening in the Bay Area of California. I told you about San Jose. That's down there. So the Bay Area is this sort of finger sticking out into the Pacific Ocean, and San Jose is down there at the bottom of the finger. But it reaches all the way up to San Francisco and even across into the East Bay. So there are many places where invention is happening. And if we could see that on a map, as you see here, we could think better about attracting innovation, about understanding its correlates. So with maps like these, you should ask, do you have enough inventors? Are they in the right place at the right time? Do they have the right knowledge? And maybe even, can your urban region make it? So attracting inventors is a tough challenge. There's many places where they could go. There's also only limited windows of time where you can brand a city with the specific technologies that are in the air that are ready to restructure the economy now. So let me just acknowledge a few of my sources. These are the Harvard database sources, Dataverse sources. This is a great open source website for patent and other kinds of information. There's the HISPAT database, and I also really enjoyed working with the patent inventor database, the PatInv database. I accomplished a lot of this using Python scripting. And this presents some challenges and opportunities for further work. First question is, what do we intend to measure? These elements of geography and emergence present an opportunity for measuring emergent technologies using science and technology indicators. Now, how do we measure it? These elements of geography and emergence present a challenge for measuring emergent technologies using these indicators. So I've got 4 conclusions to wrap up tonight. 1 is that places are often the nexus for technological emergence. 2, emergence is caused by density dependence and the social reactor theory. 3, places get a relatively short time in the spotlight. And 4, as an innovation researcher, as a place brander, we've got some great new opportunities for measurement using Harvard database and great open source tools from languages like Python. Thank you.